Long before lattes and pour-overs, espresso grinders, and fancy digital scales, the ancient Ethiopians were perfecting the perfect brew. This became known as the Ethiopian coffee ceremony, using a traditional jebana, just like this. And it's not just a way to brew coffee. It's a ritual that has stood the test of time for over 1,000 years. So what can this legendary coffee experience teach us about the art of craft, the power of story, and how to build connection over a liquid in our cup? I've spent years exploring drinks around the world, and I can honestly say that the setting absolutely impacts taste and also our memory of the event. Chinese tea tables, drinking sake straight from the barrel, and of course, coffee in the woods. Not too long ago, I had the chance to travel around Ethiopia shooting with a Korean brand, Coffee Libre, and we were brought to the birthplace of coffee. Kaffa, to be specific, where it's believed that we get the word coffee. So what is an Ethiopian coffee ceremony exactly? In the local culture, it's almost exclusively the woman's job to make coffee. She starts with roasting in the traditional pan method, and in the meantime, she'll boil the water. It can even be done in the jebana itself. Once the coffee's roasted, it's time to grind. Or in this case, pound with a big mortar and pestle. She'll make some room in the jebana, pour some water out, and add the fresh grind with a palm leaf. It might boil over a bit, but that's normal. It's just so fresh. And then she waits. This is to let the coffee settle before pouring it into these small little cups to be served to the guests. As you can see, no filter, but nice and clear. This is more than just a drink. This is a story. And I believe selling drinks should be more than just about chasing trends, but rather how can we tap into the value that we already have at our fingertips, or in this case, at our lips. So how can we as drink professionals take something away from this 1,000-year-old ceremony? Number one, the power of ritual. The best drinks are not only about taste, but the whole experience around it, including the visuals. Don't make the mistake of just thinking, hey, my product will speak for itself, or maybe the reverse. Hey, it's not worth making too much of a big deal. It's just coffee, or it's just beer, or whatever it is that you're selling. Your drink definitely has a story worth telling and also worth feeling. So how can you do that? And I'll be giving some examples of how key brands have done this very thing in my upcoming newsletter. So do make sure you subscribe down in the description. Number two, bring people on a journey. In addition to designing an experience, what about the journey for people to get there? This is what we call the multi-step drink experience. Tasting flights are really good for this. Let people try a sip of each beer, a splash of each wine, or sake, or even pre-batched cocktails. And how could you do this for coffee? Of course, you could just pour it all in one big old mug, or you could serve it in a jar and then allow people to serve themselves in small little cups like this. Not only do they get the visual of the pour, but they get the excitement of continuously coming back for more. But which coffee are we drinking today? Well, that brings us to this video's sponsor, coffee brand Kurukaveci Mehmet Efendi. From Turkey to the world. This is not Turkish coffee, this is Ethiopian coffee. But it is roasted in Turkey, and today we're brewing with the Ethiopian single origin roast, great for filter coffee and great for the jebana. So gives us a little taste of what it's like to be back on the coffee farm. I can still smell that fire burning, and Kurukaveci Mehmet Efendi has been at it for over 150 years, roasting in Istanbul. So you could say they've learned a thing or two along the way. So it's great for brewing not only Turkish coffee, but also espresso, cold brew, and of course, filter coffee. Check out their website in the description. And if you're ever in Istanbul, do swing by their beautiful historic shop. All right, so number three, slow it down. Everyone's felt this. You're at a restaurant, you're waiting for your food. It's taking a little bit longer to come out and everyone's already super hungry. So you're that much happier when the plate is finally put down right in front of you. I'm not saying to artificially make people wait, that can bite you in the butt, but limitation does increase perceived value. The Ethiopian coffee ceremony, for example, takes time. We were all very excited when we finally got to taste it, but that's just how long it takes. She didn't do it on purpose, but we were very grateful after seeing the entire process. Other brands and drinks do this all the time. So aged whiskey or rum, vintage wine, or even a limited edition coffee bag. You can do this with certain aspects of your business to help build excitement with your core audience and get them more engaged. Number four, social connection. Coffee in Ethiopia is meant to be shared. It's never something to do alone. Now, this might seem obvious, but how do we use drinks to bring people together? Often this does happen naturally, but in our individualistic world, it's happening less and less. So some cafes, for example, are trying to encourage this engagement by implementing laptop-free zones or no Wi-Fi. Beer halls might do this by putting in one big long table to encourage people to sit down, share a beer, have some fun. And when I opened my first cafe back in Toronto, we kind of designed the layout to do this as well. So sofas, benches, short stools, short tables. And I was always very happy when two strangers came in, they made a connection, found out that they had something in common. Other ways that this can happen in your business are maybe through mini events, VIP tastings, or even social media challenges that encourage your core audience or your regular customers to team up and maybe even get some nice prizes. Again, more on that in my newsletter, but back to Ethiopian coffee. I believe that it has lasted for over 1,000 years because it is more than just coffee. It's an experience. And it played a major role on how the rest of the world is enjoying coffee today. Think about it. How can your drink brand create an experience that is timeless? And if you'd like to tell your brand story with a bit of video content, do reach out through my website below. Subscribe to explore more drink cultures from around the world. And until then, see you out there.